All right, welcome back to the Trauma Therapist Podcast. My name is Guy McPherson. My mission is to help trauma therapists be their incredible selves, to be human, to be real, not just a clinician. I'm a big believer in who we are is more important than what we know. And this requires cultivating authenticity, genuineness, and vulnerability, and that requires intention. You can learn more about my courses and workshops by going to thetraumatherapistproject.com. That's thetraumatherapistproject.com. Let's get started. All right, Guy here. Thanks for tuning in. A little in-between episode to announce that my workshop, Podcasting for Mental Health Professionals, is starting in a couple of weeks. And I just wanted to take a little bit of time and let you know about the workshop. You can find out more about it at mentalhealthpodcasters.com. I started my podcast several years ago. I've been working in a clinic in Northern California. We were assessing and treating young individuals who were showing early signs of psychosis, and I absolutely loved my job. And I quickly realized, I was fresh out of graduate school, but I quickly realized how many people, therapists, parents certainly, teachers, didn't know what trauma was, number one, weren't able to identify it, and really didn't realize how serious it was. And this just was killing me. At the same time, I was doing a lot of commuting. I was listening to a lot of podcasts about entrepreneurs, doing incredible things with their lives. And it was really inspiring for me. And I got the idea that, maybe I could start a podcast. And I had known nothing about starting a podcast. I'd never, done anything like this before, but I was passionate about getting the word out about the prevalence of trauma. And things just started unfolding in my imagination about, I loved my work, but I just could not deal with being restricted to time. And, if you were done your work at 2:00, you just had to sit around and, do nothing. It was driving me nuts. And I thought, okay, what if I start my own business? And I knew I wanted the podcast to be the center of that. And then I thought, well, who am I, right? Who is going to listen to me? No one. Who's going to listen to me? What am I going to do? And the idea was to interview, quote unquote, master trauma therapists, with the idea of inspiring new therapists like myself to learn more about trauma. Excuse me, I have a cold. I don't know if you could tell. I'm going to pause here and blow my nose for a second. Hang on. All right. Sorry about that. So I jumped in. I started the podcast and things evolved. I will tell you that over the subsequent months after I began, it became very clear to me that it wasn't just about, master trauma therapists, but I was interested and so inspired by people who had dedicated their lives to helping those who'd been impacted by trauma. So we're talking newer therapists, we're talking yogis, we're talking, veterans who reintegrated and became therapists across the board. And my podcast became one really about trauma initially to one that's about the human spirit. I love celebrating the amazingness and the guts and the perseverance and the humanness of my guests. And hopefully you can hear that passion in my voice. But this is what's kept me going. So I share that with you because I want to let you know that, if you are no way interested in starting a podcast, then click off, right? This episode is not for you, and I get that. But if you're on the fence and you're thinking, you know what, well, what am I gonna talk about? Who's gonna listen to me? I will tell you that those are very normal responses, and I had them too. But I will also ask you this. Okay, so this is who this workshop is for. If you're a therapist of any kind, psychologist, uh, marriage family therapist, if you're a counselor, if you're a coach, and someone in the mental health space, if you're a survivor, if you're a combination of both, and you want to share your voice, you want to get your message out, you want to share your knowledge, you want to help others, you want to reach out, you want to grow your professional network, you want to establish a platform for getting referrals for your business. And finally, although not finally, I'll say lastly, I've learned so much about myself from doing this podcast, from interviewing the incredible guests I've had and listening to them and them challenging me. It's an incredible platform. It's super easy, right? All you need is a microphone, a computer, and some software, and you're good to go. And we go through that through the workshop. So that's just a little bit about who is it for, what the benefits are. Again, if you're on the fence and you're thinking, well, I don't know, if anyone's going to listen to me. Look, my belief is if you speak about what you're passionate about, if you share your knowledge and from the heart, right, people are going to listen. This is my belief, right? There are a lot of podcasts out there, and you're right now listening to this one for whatever reason. Hopefully it has something to do with that. All right, when are we going to meet? The workshop is going to be in 4 modules, Monday, March 13th from 11 to 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. All the times are in Pacific Standard Time. Friday, March 17th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. Monday, March 20th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. and Friday, March 24th, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And again, all this is on the course website at mentalhealthpodcasters.com. I'm going to walk you through and share with you everything I've learned over the course of the last several years of myself doing this podcast. Look, this is what I do. I love doing what I do, and I love sharing what I do with the people who come on board with this workshop. And I try to keep them relatively small so we can do one-on-one work. And my goal is to help you get your first episode up and running by the end of the workshop, okay? So once again, Mental Health Podcast, the price is $547. I forgot to mention that. It's $547. And you can find out, again, all this information at mentalhealthpodcasters.com. If you're on the fence, I'm here to guide you. And look, if you don't, I'm not saying this is everyone should start a podcast. I'm not saying that at all. But if you're thinking about it, if you're excited by it, if you think, wait a minute, I could do it, you probably could too. And I'd love to walk you through and guide you through the process that has helped me make this podcast into a pretty successful one. All right, mentalhealthpodcasters.com. Take care.